Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host, and I welcome you to this show. You know, your voice matters to us, so we encourage you to use the chat. We encourage you to participate. We listen and we learn. Our job is to inform, to educate, and also entertain. Our audience includes global business people from across silos, from across industry, from across time zones, and from across cultures. It's a wonderful opportunity within the global mobility industry to communicate, share ideas, learn from each other, and help each other grow. Thank you for being involved with Global. Hi, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host today on Global TV. This is a division of globalbusinessnews.net, and we're coming to you today from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm in Southern California. So let's welcome our special guest on this portion of the broadcast, David Tompkins, who's president of TFG Global Insurance Solutions and Expat Financial. Hello. Welcome.
Hello. It's a pleasure to speak to you today.
Nice to see you again. Last time I saw you was in Toronto at our meeting, October 31.
Yes, it was an excellent meeting. Very enjoyable.
Thank you. Well, it's great to have you there, and great to have some time with you at that bar scene the night before. So This seems like it's like a decade ago by this time, with all the things that have been going on.
That's for sure. Yeah, a lot has changed.
Yeah. Okay. So David Tompkins, I want you to self-intro, okay, and let people know how extensive your company is. Been around a very long time, very successful with Expat Financial, and this deals with, as you could see, the sign behind David's head, global risks, and this has to do with expats, right? Not
That's
companies,
correct.
but it deals with expats, the people. Is that correct?
Yes. So basically, the Expat Financial is a division of TFG Global Insurance Solutions, and we are international insurance brokers. But we specialize in global insurance for companies that are sending employees overseas, but as well as individual expats, both of which would need things such as international health insurance, expat life and disability, accident protection, evacuation. We also do a lot of work in higher risk countries where people need war risk, kidnap and ransom insurance, that type of thing.
What if people are unemployed? Do you ever get into that? Is that an issue?
Unemployed in what way?
Well, let's say they had it when they were on assignment and then now they're quarantined or furloughed or unemployed. Is that something you want to get into now?
Well, I mean, if they are, and we are getting a lot of calls from expatriates who are kind of stuck where they are. So they're needing, maybe we haven't had many calls from people who are unemployed, but they kind of maybe on the fence of getting a global health plan, and now they want something of higher quality that's going to not exclude COVID. And they are, wanting a plan that will fully cover COVID-related expenses. So we did see quite an uptick in individual sales, especially in March and April. And certainly the corporations, most are keeping their expats in place. Some are returning back, but certainly the ones that are, they've asked the question, and we've been able to tell them, yes, your people are covered.
I've got a related question from Sarah Simonetti, who's watching this from another location. Are there locations, she asked, are there locations in which expats were not able to be tested, or is that just not appropriate right now?
Not able to be tested? No, I mean, we're as a broker, we don't get involved in the day-to-day claims. We're only there if something is not going well, not working well, there's a claims issue, but we haven't heard of any problems on that front.
Good, thank you. So in this kind of an era, the insurance business it's almost like an essential business, isn't it? It's really vital. Everybody wants to have some kind of coverage. They need
it. Definitely. When we technically are an essential business in insurance where we are located in Canada. But we still, majority of our employees have gone to working from home. But again, as I said, if it's one of those situations where you want to hope you had a high quality global benefit plan in place, one with a large insurer that is capable, has the resources, the medical network, and also, of course, one that is not excluding COVID-19. We have seen some individual plans that had an exclusion, but they've chosen not to exercise that exclusion. So sometimes that's something that insurers will do. They'll have an exclusion, but sometimes they will say, well, maybe we will cover this extraordinary situation such as COVID.
So I've got a question here. How do companies save money on their global health insurance today?
Well, there's always lots of ways. Some of the ways would include things like increasing their deductible. Maybe sometimes you can even include especially if they have American expats, they might decide to exclude the US. But in general, if you have American expats, you'll want to include the United States. But sometimes switching to a more cost-effective network with the insurer, that can sometimes give you a couple of % in savings. Others are looking, possibly to lessen the benefits, maybe reducing outpatient care, that type of thing. But I would say on the corporate side, a lot of the expat HR managers that we're dealing with are definitely not looking to, switch insurers this time or make any huge steps such as reducing benefits because of COVID.
So what about people with pre-existing condition? Are they able to get coverage on international?
Well, on an individual global health plans that we do offer, one of the biggest providers of independent providers of or sources of expat individual health insurance, those policies are always individually underwritten. So they will have to get a quote via expatfinancial.com, for example, get a quote online, submit the application, usually online. That will go to the insurer. They will decide whether they're pre-existing conditions, whether they can cover them, whether there'll be an exclusion, a medical loading, or they will be declined. On corporate expat benefit plans that we offer, for the majority of our clients, especially if they have a decent number of expats or employees globally, we can source plans that fully cover pre-existing medical conditions. And definitely for any expat benefit plan for healthcare, you want to make sure you have pre-existing conditions covered.
So what about companies that just have me, for instance, just myself, just one person as an expat? Are you able to cover them?
That's a good question. Generally, if they are applying for an individual policy, they would, just one person, they would have to go through the individual global medical plan route. And there you have medical underwriting. But for a few select, we do have access to one insurer that if the company has, say, over 50 employees globally, they can justify providing a global benefit plan for one employee, one expat employee, that will fully cover pre-existing conditions, meaning no medical questions asked. So it sometimes is possible, is the short answer.
So part of the talk now is about, meaning the media talk, and some commentators are asking or mentioning something called a health certificate. Have you heard of that situation, that program being applied now because of the COVID situation?
No, we haven't encountered that. Someone can always get a proof of coverage. They should usually be able to get that online or request it from the insurer.
Yeah,
we've run into.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that was answered. So that poster behind you, if you could just move to the right or left.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It says global risk demand global insurance solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So a global risk refers to what in your business? What is a global risk?
Oh, it's a tricky one. I would say it mostly relates to companies that are, you know, going through the international market, sending employees overseas, and they have what we call a fiduciary responsibility or duty of care. So through the different insurance plans that we offer, such as international group insurance, evacuation, global medical insurance, special risk coverage, kidnap and ransom, and business travel insurance, we help them meet their duty of care, which is certainly definitely nowadays with COVID, that's become even more important.
So what do you think, just off the cuff here, just between us, with business travel as opposed to long-term expat assignments, business travel will, well, not just in my view, but in others' views, that's going to ramp up pretty quick, I think, once we get the all clear. Whereas long-term assignments, although they'll still go on for sure, will be far less in number. But business travel and business travel insurances, so that's a short-term policy. Is that correct?
Yes, we do offer business travel plans that actually we have ones that can fully cover pre-existing conditions and also cover COVID. Those are primarily for short-term assignments, usually under 6 months. And so you can usually set up a plan that will cover the entire company's staff traveling overseas, even from different countries, and basically pay one annual premium, and you don't have to report each travel independently. I would say, in my opinion, possibly there will be less business travel. People will, of course, do things like Zoom meetings, that type of thing. Possibly there will be fewer expats, but in some ways you could argue that you're going to want to send someone overseas and have them stay there, him or her stay there, and not come back and forth because of this situation. Possibly you may need to, more of a global presence.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I was talking with somebody the other day about work from home and remote and doing meetings like this, and getting more and more comfortable with the virtual. But they thought that the near future would be, for instance, you in Vancouver, me in California. We're going to be based in our locations, but we're actually going to go to work in Dubai or Tel Aviv or in South Africa or England, and that will be virtual work rather than go.
Yes, possibly.
I think anything will go. I'm not sure what will happen.
Yeah, that's true. Luckily, we're very used to working with clients around the world in different time zones. Like, not all our clients are in Canada, for example. We have a very large client in Afghanistan, a couple in Iraq, Africa, South America. So this has been pretty easy for us in terms of dealing with people remotely.
So the types of insurance, is that related to the specific destination?
Well, usually if you're looking at the global benefit plans and you're looking at international health insurance, in most cases, those plans will cover the employees globally, excluding the United States, but you can have them where they include the United States, or they will have two tiers of coverage, one for non-US citizens that excludes the US, so obviously they'd have a lower premium, and then for the American expats, their plans are generally global. Because if you're an American expat, you generally want to be able to get treatment in the United States. But basically, the insurance premiums are based on where the expats reside, and their citizenships, dates of birth, those type of things.
So now I want to turn our attention to networking and finding new business opportunities. For instance, you were a sponsor, you were a speaker at our Canadian meeting, which was held at the headquarters of BMO Financial in Toronto. And there were about, 85 or 90 people in the room. and many corporates.
Yeah.
So when do you think we'll be able to have something like that again? Probably not this year. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I would say definitely not this year. I'm actually pretty positive they're going to have a. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but with all hands on deck on this thing, I would say probably good chance they will have a vaccine next year, and they will have maybe some treatments of consequence in the fall. And I think so. Possibly people will be able to do conventions, possibly in the spring of 2021. I mean, who knows? We can hope for the best.
Right. Like, for instance, May 27th was going to be our Silicon Valley live meeting. And
Yeah.
I had lined up Twilio and Riverbed Technologies and Fitbit and also Applied Materials.
Wow.
And there was going to be a banger,
Yeah.
but now nobody, nothing. So we're trying to organize a virtual meeting like this. And I've been ramping up. My partner Paul has been teaching me more and more technical things, and that's a hard sell, let me tell you,
Yeah.
because I'm not technically oriented.
And these
But
interviews are great, so I think they're a great way to.
you're cool. Thank you. Okay, well, David Tompkins, I thank you very much for being our special guest today on Global TV. I've learned a lot from this, and I hope you found it comfortable.
Oh, it was awesome. I really appreciate the chance to talk to you, of course, and all your listeners.
Thank you. So I want to introduce Sarah Simonetti. Sarah, why don't you unmute yourself and join us and say hello to David. David, if you want to jump off, I understand, but you're certainly welcome to participate in this conversation. I've asked Sarah to join us and talk about international relocations, international freight. That certainly has some kind of insurance, doesn't it, Sarah?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, David, for allowing me to join your conversation with Ed. Good afternoon to you both. Hello. I'm situated just north of New York City, if anybody's interested where I'm coming from. So insurance, at this point, not too much has changed on the insurance front on our side. The most change that we've seen is really operative. The ocean freight bookings and vessel sailings have been disrupted quite a bit. Air cargo is taking over passenger planes. So not that we're able to go anywhere, but if we were, there would be a huge shortage of passenger planes at this point. They've been removing seats to allow those planes to carry cargo. So that's, quite an interesting thing that's happening, throughout all types of industries. I don't think there really is an industry that has been left untouched, by this pandemic. And it's kind of interesting, obviously, you worry for those who, are sick or have the possibility of getting sick, but it's an interesting time. There's a lot of things changing. People are learning, adapting very quickly. So it's actually very interesting to watch.
Well, thank you, Sarah. So, David, have you found that companies have changed their insurance or done something different in the last couple of months?
No, I haven't seen anything yet. I mean, certainly, I think the ones that are on the fence with regards to the insurance that we handle, they want to make sure that they have some high quality coverage. That's certainly not excluding COVID, as I mentioned. So that's where we advise people to check their fine print, and of course, we would hope that they talk to us and have us give them an independent assessment.
Great. Sarah, in terms of shipments, are they, for international, are they small?
So as of now, we've seen quite a decline in international shipments for a number of reasons. First being a lot of countries have actually closed their borders. Some of them are now just reopening, but some are still in the process of actually tightening and closing borders. So it's an interesting dichotomy that's happening right now. But shipments in general are, slightly down, and not necessarily smaller. As far as the pandemic is concerned, a longer trend over the last 5 or 10 years has been, yes, they have been getting smaller. Shipments have been getting smaller. But more immediate effects of COVID have just been, they're just kind of on pause for now. So waiting until all of the borders reopen and all of the companies feel comfortable moving their people again.
Yeah, and so what about domestic? What are you seeing about domestic?
Domestic, there's still quite a bit of activity going on. All of the companies that we work with follow a certain procedure, standard procedure, making sure that all of the crew is fully equipped with PPE. They, give a notice to the transferee in advance of how to prepare their home, have, minimal people at home if possible, or, quarantine the kids into one room if they have children at home, providing a discretionary sink for the workers to wash their hands, throughout the day. So there are all taking temperature and all of these sort of checklist things that the crew and the residents of the home need to go through. So domestic moves are still happening. A little bit less than the norm might be for this time of year, but they are still happening.
Good. Thank you for that overview. David, do you have a question?
No. What have you seen a lot of? What are some of the biggest challenges that you've been running into in the last month or so with regards to your clients?
In the very beginning of the pandemic, I would say March, April, a lot of companies were actually refusing to move, or just they'd sent all of their packers home. But things have started to pick up as states within the United States start to open again, and the guidelines that have been issued for everyone to follow. Things have, started moving again. The last month, we mostly are looking for July at this point. We've got our eyes kind of on the target of July, which we anticipate is going to be even busier than last year if these moves move forward. We're not where we were last year at this time of year, but yeah, come July, we expect when the floodgates open, they're really going to open. So
interesting, isn't it? Wow. So I understand that you're involved in martial arts. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Tell me, what does that mean? A black belt or what?
This past November, I actually was given a master degree in Taekwondo.
Wow.
So, yeah, which is fourth degree black belt. It's been a couple of years I've been practicing.
So did it start out as a self-defense or just a meditation thing, and then it grew?
Yeah, so it definitely started out as wanting to take care of my physical health, but also wanting something that had a spiritual side to it, a little bit more than just the physical aspect of it. And I thought this was something that was not easy. So I guess that's why I chose it, believe it or not. And the interesting thing, which refers to something that I read in that article that you just published in the FDI, was interesting because you don't think about it when you go in, or I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to get a black belt. It was just, I'm going to go try this class, see if I like it. And I liked it. And I went back the next day, and you break it down into its little parts so it becomes digestible, because the thought of going in and, oh, I'm going to become a black belt can be overwhelming. Or becoming a master, it's just something you have to take step by step. So,
well, that referred to, David, an article that I was privileged to write for this London-based company called FDI, which is Foreign Direct Investment. And so I wrote this article, and one of the quotations I had was from a trainer for U.S. Navy SEALs in their active training. And what Sarah was just referring to is to break down huge challenges, scary for sure, very, very difficult, but not to get overwhelmed mentally by breaking them down into the smallest possible achievements and do many small achievements, one right after another, that not only gives you a sense of accomplishment and attainment, but also gets you through the ordeal. So right now, there's a lot of people who are, I wouldn't call them mentally ill, but they are definitely impacted by the pressure financial pressure, institutional pressure, the quarantine, or fear of getting sick for themselves or for their family. So and David, you're an expert in insurances, so I think it's like a perfect combination to have you two guys together here. So thank you for your willingness to participate together here.
It's a pleasure. It's nice meeting you all.
Nice
meeting you again.
Great. Nice to meet you, David. Thank you very much for being our guest. David, how can people get in touch with you the best way, easiest way? How can people find you, David?
Well, we have our corporate site, which is www.tfgglobal.com, but probably the easiest one is via Expat Financial, EXPAT Financial.com, and they can obtain a quote. They can also, of course, contact us via our contact page or 604-628-0426.
Oh, thank you. So David, part of your PR campaign has been to ramp up and publish country destination information, not only from a health perspective, but from what's it like to be there. For instance, we just published something for you on Jakarta in Indonesia, and I know you're doing a lot of others. How is that process working for you?
Oh, it's well. I think it's just we do get a lot of clients, especially on the individual side, online. So by writing informative articles about the expat experience, countries, city pages, healthcare related articles, of course, insurance related ones, it helps draw traffic to our site, Expat Financial, and definitely helps us obtain new clients. But we also actually, surprisingly enough, get a few corporate clients as well through the internet. Some very large ones as well.
Yeah, very good. And I've watched the video. I forget what it was about, but very well spoken. I guess British lady was your spokesperson, and it was great to watch that just yesterday. But I can't remember what it was about right now. I've got too much going on. So Sarah, how can people get in touch with you? Yeah, all right. Sarah, how can people get in touch with you and Interconnex?
Well, www.interconnex.com. That's the website if they want more information about the company. You can find me on LinkedIn. My email address, or I can give the info, is probably a better email address to give, info@interconnex, and that's interconnex.com. And we can field any questions that anybody might have about our services, or we also are publishing the COVID-19 country information compiled from our partners, just to give people a quick overview of the changes that are happening throughout the world now.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Why don't you send it over to David so he can have a look at it? Maybe there's some information share, relationship share that could grow out of this TV show. Who knows? It's yeah. So David, what's your email?
My email address is info at tfgglobal.com. So info at TFG Global.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you both for being our guest today, as I mentioned, on Global TV. I'm signing off here from California. David's in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Sarah is overlooking the new Tappan Zee Bridge, Hudson River, New York.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for participating in today's broadcast. Your voice is really important to us. We listen. So please send me an email, publisher@globalbusiness.media, anytime, any item. It can remain private, no problem. Your voice matters to us. Thank you for being our customer on Global.